Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the greatest art heist in history. If you didn't check out the last reaction, I looked at Fern's video. This channel is similar in the animations aspect. Everything of this channel will be down in the description below alongside this video, so make sure to check him out, and let's get straight into the video.
It's a hot summer's evening in Paris. For weeks, a record-breaking heat wave has been cooking the city, leaving the streets empty and the Louvre quieter than ever. No one dares to go outside. But for one man, it's time to strike. Throughout the night, he pulls off the heist of the century, plucking the Mona Lisa from the Louvre and disappearing into the city. This set off a worldwide investigation, leading French police down a 2-year rabbit hole of false leads and famous arrests, before a mysterious letter eventually gave the thief away.
How the hell do you just end up stealing the Mona Lisa and leave it in your back pocket, and no one is checking? What is going on?
We modeled the entire thing to show you how a single man stole the Mona Lisa, how he almost got away with it, and the elaborate plan behind the heist that was eventually revealed decades later. As the sun went down that Sunday evening, the last few tourists were trickling out of the Louvre. But just before it closed, a man entered the museum dressed in the Louvre's official white uniform. Blending in as an employee, he quickly found his way to a small storage closet, squeezed his way in, and waited out the entire night. The Louvre was closed the next day, so very few employees were going to be patrolling.
Okay, this now makes sense, because I thought Donnie just went in, grabbed the Mona Lisa, put it in his back pocket, and left. I mean, there was a strategy going on with it, but to be honest with you, it should have never happened.
Patrolling the museum. At precisely 7:15 the next morning, the thief emerged into an almost empty Louvre. With no one in sight, he quickly made his way into the Salon Carré, and there it was. At the time, the Mona Lisa didn't have its own room, and it wasn't nearly as famous as it is today. But the thief...
Okay, so you just leave a painting like that unattended, no guard, it's just on a fucking hanger. What's going on? This painting is worth millions of dollars, and they just leave it out.
He pulled the painting off its metal pins and carried it to a nearby stairwell.
Okay, so I was right. Donnie just grabbed the painting and left the What's going on?
Using a screwdriver, he managed to remove the painting from its protective frame before covering it in a white sheet and heading straight for the near.
Okay. Alright, if this was me, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have took it out of the frame, rolled it up, and then stuffed it in my back pocket. You're leaving a museum holding something in the rectangular shape covered in a cloth, and no one stopped you. What? Like, do you see what I'm talking about?
But as he reached for the door, it was locked. At that exact moment, a plumber working for the Louvre appeared out of nowhere. He assumed that the man was a Louvre employee, and so he helped him open the door. And just like that, the thief disappeared into the city.
That door opening costs millions of dollars. You just never know.
With the Mona Lisa under his arms. The whole heist was over in just a matter of minutes. But it would take another 28 hours before anyone realized the painting was really gone. That week, photographers had been going through the museum and taking the paintings to be officially photographed. So blank spaces on the wall were completely normal. But when the photographers showed up the next morning without the Mona Lisa, it became clear that something was extremely wrong. The Mona Lisa was officially missing.
Stolen.
The police were called and a team of detectives descended on the museum. France closed its borders and stationed tanks around the Louvre.
Damn, yo. We got tanks and military equipment for a piece of painting. Like, I know it's a monumental piece of art, right? But at the end of the day, it's just paper and some ink. If they find this dude, he's destroyed. What? You got 3 tanks out. What?
Just kidding. These tanks weren't used.
Did I just get fucking Oh my god. I got clickbaited into an ad. Hey, yo, Primal is
can be used in War Thunder.
Okay. That was one of the... Jesus. I can't believe I just done that. I just got clickbaited so hard. Jesus Christ.
Shockwaves all around the world. And the question was, where did it go? All the police had found was the wooden picture frame and a fingerprint left behind by the thief. To get the investigation going, local newspapers started offering a reward of $250,000 for any information that would lead them to the painting.
Okay, I don't know if this is just me, but couldn't you just go and just bullshit some info. That's $250,000. You could have just went, oh, he's just someone wearing a cap with a mustache, about 5'11". Like, if you didn't do that, you're kind of stupid.
The response was overwhelming. Thousands of people sent letters and
That's-
showed up to police stations with
That's
all
what I'm
kinds of
talking
information,
about.
placing the Mona Lisa all over the world.
That's
Two
what
separate
I'm
witnesses
talking about.
recalled seeing a man leaving the Louvre with a bulky object. But the descriptions of the man were completely different.
What the fuck?
One
is that?
person claimed that the Mona Lisa was on a freight train heading through Belgium, and another claimed that the painting was on a ship which had already
bag,
set
you gotta
sail
do
for
it.
America. But
I would've said it
perhaps
was on a
the most
spaceship.
promising
What?
suspect was the famous artist, Pablo Picasso. A secretary who knew Picasso wrote to the police and admitted that he had stolen several Iberian statues from the Louvre.
Yo.
He claimed to have sold these statues to Picasso, who
Oh, someone sold it to Picasso. I was gonna say, yo, isn't this dude the person that fucking draws random shapes and calls them art? Like, what?
went on to use
I'm
them
about to
in
get
one of his
flamed in the
paintings.
comments.
It
Fucking
seemed unlikely,
artists.
but after checking the serial number on the statues, the Louvre confirmed that they really were from the museum. Picasso was arrested and taken in for questioning.
Yo!
Meanwhile, the police turned their attention to another
Why did we never learn this in school? All we learned in school is how to draw the shapes like him, bro. What? The first class I had was my teacher explaining about his art, and all it was random shapes, and they called it art. And he ends up stealing oh my goodness.
At the time, art forgery was a big business, and paintings were often being forged and sold to naive millionaires in America. According to the
Dumb people with
claim,
money, of
Morgan
course.
had commissioned the heist, and the painting was now on its way to him. Police in America stopped and searched a boat pulling into
Oh,
New York,
shit.
but there was no Mona Lisa on board. Theories kept coming in from all over the world, but after 2 years of searching, the location of the Mona Lisa was still a complete mystery.
Found.
As it turned out, the Mona Lisa hadn't gone far at all, and it was sitting in an apartment just 2 miles from the Louvre.
What the fuck? Bro, you're searching across the world. You went to fucking Australia trying to look for it, and it's 2 skips and a hop away from the museum. What?
This was the apartment of Vincenzo Perugia, a 29-year-old Italian who used to work at the Louvre as a handyman. He
That's
knew
a
every
cracker
weakness
mustache.
of
What?
the Louvre. He knew that it was closed on Mondays. He knew about the photographers. And it was him who had made the Mona Lisa's protective case, which he dismantled so easily during the heist.
That.
After leaving the Louvre, he hid the painting in a trunk with a false floor, which he had made himself. But how did he get away with it for so long? Amazingly, Perugia already had a criminal record, and his
Yeah.
fingerprints were already in the system.
What is that fingerprint? What? Is that a fingerprint or a shoe print? Like, this is the normal finger, right? How is your why is your finger a square? Why is this SpongeBob SquarePants in front of my screen?
But only his right-hand fingerprints were in the system, and the one on the picture frame
He
was a
probably forged
left-hand
his fingerprints
print,
as well.
and so a match was never found. During the investigation, police had
Watch.
visited Perugia's apartment twice, but never found anything. Little did they know that the Mona Lisa was hiding right under their noses. Perugia had
Literally.
pulled off a stupidly simple heist, and it seemed like he would get away with it. But after 2 years holding the painting hostage, he started to get impatient.
All right. Why are you holding a painting in like if I stole this painting, right? The first thing I would do is go to random millionaires and ask them about art and then see how much they would pay. Like, you know what I mean? Why would you just keep it? What's the point? Now you're going to go to jail or maybe even killed because this time era is you steal a peanut and you get your head chopped off by a fucking sword. Why would you just keep the painting? Just sell it off. Or at least forge it. Like, trace over or some shit. Like, what? Like, am I the
He
only
wrote
one
an
thinking this?
anonymous letter to an art dealer in Florence, the city where Da Vinci painted the masterpiece. In the letter, he claimed to have the Mona Lisa in his possession and said he
This is the dumbest thing you could have done. You just admitted to Oh my god. this
wanted
is
to
how he
return
got
it
caught.
back to its home. He signed the letter with the name Leonardo and took the next train to Florence. The art dealer and his associate agreed to meet Perugia in his hotel room to authenticate the painting. With the doors locked, Perugia opened up the trunk, and to their surprise, it really was the Mona Lisa. In order to further authenticate the painting, the art dealers took it back to their studio, assuring Perugia that he would be rewarded for bringing it back.
You are a dumbass. You ended up pulling off one of the best heists in the world, and then you just give the painting away to some fat Donnie and then a short midget, and then walk off, promising you'll get paid. Oh my god, this has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. What is going on? There has to be an explanation.
But just an hour later, the police showed up at his door and arrested him.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Jesus Christ! You pulled off the best art heist in the world, and then you give it to some random Donnies and you walk off, bro. Honestly, you deserve it. That's the dumbest. You went from the best to the worst instantly. What's going on? You honestly deserve it for being this stupid.
Perugia ended up spending just 7 months in prison and died just 10 years later. Although the search for the Mona Lisa was over, the truth behind what really happened seemed to have gone to the grave. But in 1932, a story was published that revealed a much more elaborate plan behind the heist. Written by Carl Decker, he claimed to know the man who was really behind the heist, a man named Eduardo de Valfierno, an expert in art forgery. He had come up with a grand plan to sell not one, but 6 perfect copies of the Mona Lisa to 6 unsuspecting millionaires lined up in America. He commissioned a talented French painter to make the copies and shipped them off to America and put them into storage. In order for them to believe they were really getting their hands on the Mona Lisa, the real one had to go missing, and so he contracted Perugia to pull off the heist. When news spread that the Mona Lisa had gone missing, the paintings were sold to their buyers, and the 3 involved ran off with the equivalent of $90 million.
Jeez! Okay, I redact all the statements that I've done. I don't know if this is just stupid because the guy just gave himself in, basically, but this was an elaborate plan. They pulled off a supply and demand business. What the fuck? 19 mil in that day and age is crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was one of the best videos I've seen about theft, which is kind of stupid to talk about. Like, that was one of the best heists I've ever seen, especially how they pulled it off. They pulled off a supply and demand business, bro. Make sure to check out this video and the channel in the description below. They post some really sick stuff. And check out the main channel in the description below. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.